That's it. Hello everyone, welcome to our AZMR podcast, Aka Zidan Magna and Rama podcast. Hi, for your information guys, all of us are the students of English Department University of Airlangga, Universitas Airlangga, Surabaya, Indonesia, batch 2017. And within this podcast, we will share anything regarding linguistic area as that is our interest and our college journey specific. That's so basically, in this podcast, we will cover everything what linguistic area consists of, such as sociolinguistic, psycholinguistic, and everything. Or even we want to expand also anthropolinguistic, which are sort of to be popular among scholars nowadays. So before we dig into what we're going to discuss on today's podcast, let's get to know each other, shall we? As one of proverbs said, "Out of sight, out of mind." If we only see or recognize someone's, then we won't know them well. Am I right? So Zidan, Magna, and Rama, are you ready to introduce yourself? Okay, so maybe I will start myself first. My name is Dwika Muzakka and TATYA, and but these people, Rama, Magna, Zidan, uh, commonly call me Aka, and I think that's all for me. Pass to Zidan.
Right. Hi, my name is Zidan. My real name is very long, so Zidan is fine. Thank you.
Hello Zidan. Okay, thank you Zidan. So continue to Magna.
Hi everyone who's watching this. My name is Magna, and that's all from me.
Thank you Magna. Okay, the last one, Rama, our Balinese boy. Guy.
Hi, I'm Rama, and you're watching our podcast.
Nice. Okay, so you guys already know four of us, and that's us. We are students of Department of Universitas Airlangga, and now then it is the time for us to talk about what we're going to discuss today. So drum roll, please, guys. Drum roll. What we're going to discuss today. So today we will take account into one of the most interesting field in linguistics, that is anthropolinguistic. Maybe Rama, you want to explain what we're going to discuss today?
So, the topic that we're going to discuss today has something to do with code switching and code mixing. So, I'm sure a lot of you might have already known what code mixing or code switching is, but just going to make it clearer, just going to refresh your mind so that you remember. So, code mixing and code switching is basically terms in linguistics to refer to the usage of more than one language in a conversation. Sometimes a speaker might encounter difficulties when they want to say a message or convey a message to a listener. So they might resort to using more than one language because their mind might work like that, and they might not be able to present that idea, that thought, in a certain language, so they resort to another language to explain it. Now, the interesting thing about code mixing and code switching is that a lot of the preconceptions regarding this matter might revolve around the understanding that code mixing and code switching happens because of the incompetence of the speaker. As I said before, that the speaker might encounter problems in trying to convey a message, so they might do that. However, it is also worth noting that language attitude and the way that culture shapes an individual also plays a part in how they use and how they react to code mixing and code switching. Now, micro-level linguistic attributes can be reflected by macrosocial realities of language behavior and usage, and vice versa. Now, in this research, we will discuss about the realities of code mixing and code switching and the discrepancies of the practices of code mixing and code switching between two college student groups. Namely, the first one is from University Kebangsaan Malaysia, or UKM, and the second one is from UNER, which is our batch.
Okay, thank you, Rama. Or maybe I want to sum up some of what have Rama explained. So basically, we're going to discuss about the code switching and code mixing, the phenomena that we found and we discover within these two groups, specifically the two college student group in UKM and UNER. And we want to know whether this will have connection to the language attitude as well, right? So maybe we can continue to explain more or to teach more what we're going to research today, that is about the research question or maybe scope and limitation and the demographic member. Maybe some of you guys want to answer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Hi. I'm sorry if I sound weird. I'm kind of sick. So yeah. So to start off, this is a very interesting research because it involves two kind of similar but also kind of different groups of people. Both of them are very connected to English, but on one hand, the Malaysian group has more, more, more influence
Closure?
from English. More background with English because of their national background, right? Malaysia has both Malay and English as their national language, whereas Indonesia is a very diverse country with a lot of languages. So we mainly use Bahasa Indonesia as a lingua franca. So not a lot of people are proficient in English, right? So the research question for this study is one, the function of the group, two, the linguistic domains of the individual gatekeepers, and three is the linguistic attitudes, the language attitudes towards the usage of English and the code mixing and code switching associated with English in the occurring in the groups, right? And then the research is done by interviewing 6 gatekeepers. 3 of them are from the Malaysian UKM group, and 3 of them are from the Indonesian Universitas Airlangga English department group from our batch, 2017. The demographic is they are representatives of the Malaysians are representatives of the Malaysian college students demographic, and the Indonesian students are representatives of the Indonesian apa college students represent demographic. Sorry, I'm kind of slow. Yeah, the scope and limitations for this study is the scope revolves around the context of the group, especially involving occurrences of code mixing and code switching in English and the respective languages. Malay for the Malaysian UKM group and Indonesian in the Universitas Airlangga group, and is limited to conversations occurring in the group and participants of the group chat. So that's all. Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Zidane. So actually what I have heard from these two previous speakers that have mentioned, it is very much interesting about this research because it's very much complex, but yet it is still interesting because we try to find the two things that is similar, kind of similar, but actually they are different, right? Because they have a different backgrounds and but they have a similar one because they are the same English department student. And then moreover, we also want to explore more about the code mixing and code switching, that the phenomena of those two things that happen within the limitation only on the chat that happened within inside of the group chat room. Okay, nice. Thank you guys. Okay, so maybe if you guys, all of you want to add something more, or maybe I can continue to the next question or next discussion.
Yeah, there is actually
Maybe
something that I would like to add, or maybe Magna would like to add first.
no, you can add. I don't have anything.
Okay, I'm just gonna be it's gonna be a brief explanation. The phenomenon is very interesting because even though Malaysia has two official languages, first one being Malay and the second one being English, the proficiency, the ability of general Malaysians don't necessarily uh, aren't necessarily the same all over Malaysia, because there are places where it's more remote, it's more rural than the others. So the influence of English becomes a lot less, a lot less, can be not can be thought of as not as influential as it would have been in, let's say, a city setting or like an urban setting, more like, yeah. So that kind of problem just uh, gives us a little bit more like dynamic, like an interesting kind of thing to consider, because that kind of thing can be also represented in the UKM side of things. That's it.
Thank you, Rama, for the adding some informations that maybe miss. Okay, so we can continue to the next discussion. Maybe we can find, maybe we can start to talk about what we have discovered within inside of the group, or maybe, yeah, maybe you guys can start something regarding about the founding that we discover after observing all the observing within these two groups. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I'll start.
Yes, Magna,
Okay.
can
So
start.
you know that we are trying to find the functions of the group itself and how the group a whole lot of sense in a sense, because it's final year and batch group of 2017 of the two countries. So basically, when I try to notes from the conversations, I see a lot of um, things that happen there. It's not necessarily just sharing informations and whatnots, but also um, I don't know. It feels more dynamics than ours. No, more dynamics than Stasing Uner 2017, because it feels it it looks more active, like the participant, like the members of the group itself. Whenever the department admin, or we can call them Puan E, uh, ask something in the group, all the members start to if they start to ask and make a list of names and student numbers, the students actually just start to fill all of the lists at that same time. Like it's can we say a synchronized information notifications kind of thing. So it's very dynamic, and it's not only that they don't only cover about informations from departments, faculties, or universities or government, but they also share, asking about internet coverage in rural areas. So maybe the department could help with the data, internet
Oh,
data
net
of the
connection.
student. Yeah, if whether they have bad connections and stuff. And they also talk a lot about the regulations of COVID-19 lockdowns. Like they always updated from that group, like all of the informations regarding COVID-19 lockdowns, or they call it PKP or MCO. They share it a lot in the group, and they always, keep up to date with the informations.
They're really
And
active,
it's,
aren't they?
I'm sorry.
They're really active, aren't they?
Yeah. I mean, it's, I don't know. Even if it's like only like last night message, they will answer it the next day, so it doesn't stop like 3 days or a week. So it's kind of interesting. And and the function itself, I don't know if it can can we call it shifting, because we know that group sometimes just maybe sharing informations and updates, but they also share about our their psychological welfare, like a support group. So COVID-19, this pandemic situation has been really making us depressed and whatnot, and the university actually has this function to support having this counseling session from the official university um, center, a psychological center, and that's cute. I mean, it's really helpful. It's really, I don't know. It has this kind of closeness to it. So yeah, and I don't think that's what happened in Sasing Uner, because maybe someone would love to enlighten me on this, but I feel like Sasing Uner is plain.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry.
Play. Okay, maybe I see Rama want to say something. It seems like Rama want to share something regarding the what happened in the line group of Sasik Uner of the English department of Uner.
Yeah, I mean, after hearing what has been said about UKM, it feels like when we compare both groups, it feels like they're kind of worlds apart, because on one hand we have this group who's pretty much really active, and the group that has kind of the department admin in it, whereas on the other hand we don't exactly have a department admin. We did have seniors before, but they already left. And regarding the activeness or the closeness, the close-knit feeling of the group itself, it's not as apparent as when it was new or we were still in our first year or something. Yeah. And because I feel like reading the chats, it's now only mostly revolved around just generally sharing information about events, or maybe something like seminars or something. And usually people would talk about stuff like, I don't know, like non-academic stuff, generally like that. But the activeness, the closeness leaves a lot to be desired when we compare it to Ukai, because they seem to be very in touch with the members, with everyone, even though maybe MAGNA or maybe Zidan would like beg to differ about it.
Okay, thank you.
Not really. I think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, please, Zidan, if you want to add something.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think that when it was first made, like everybody's just getting to know each other. But then
It's kind
I
of
don't know if it's
shifting,
because
right?
of I don't think, like, everybody just has their own social circle, right? People talk to people with a certain people talk with like-minded people. Just so happens that in this case, it causes people to make other group chats that only has them in it, right? So some other people don't, they don't occupy the same group chat. Some other people don't have group chats, right? And the first group chat is just nobody talks there anymore because they have their own group chat, right? I don't know if they just don't feel the need to socialize with the greater circle, or if they're shy, or they just don't wanna, Uh, but as a group for the whole of the batch, its function is still somewhat preserved because uh, information passed down on that group will be passed down to other people who are not in that group, right? Even though they are members of the batch, right? Even if they're not in the group, because social circles of humans just so happens to include a lot of people, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
and within the case of the group, it just means that the group uh, is no longer a vessel of socialization for 150 people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a message board to post announcements.
Yeah, it feels like our the line group of Sasing is only about, it's like, seems like it becomes a board of something that only share about announcement, and it's shifting of the functions from the first and at the start, at the beginning, we join and created the group. um, it becomes it become only a hub of internet information, and then we just share there. And if you want to ask something, we just ask we just ask inside the group. Okay, maybe Magna want to share something, because before I want to say, Magna, you want to say something? Yeah.
I mean, you can all say that passing unair is barren, It's very bare. There's nothing to discuss there. People have their own groups. I mean, I think we do. And
Yeah.
little groups. Well, yeah. And it also happens to UKM group thing because one of them actually say that um it's less functional than before, they said. So the UKM 3, we call it UKM 3. UKM 3 said that the group itself has less functions than before because uh, they think one of them think that the group has a toxic member, and maybe they have other priorities, or maybe they have secured a job, so they don't really have time to join and participate on the group. So it kind of makes sense. But the reason of why one of them said that there's a toxic group, there's a toxic people in the group, it's because like Zidan said, someone is some people just stay in one group that is what consisted of tip-top students and dean-listed students. So they feel that this kind of behavior toxic because they don't regard other students, and they have more excuse to refuse to join the group in every kind of courses. And also, I noted that if I noted that they also said if you are no teachers if you are not teachers pet or dean listed students, then you are an outcast.
Wow.
And that's unexpected for me because I mean compared to Sasing Uner, we don't really do it like that.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't really do that kind of group thingy that is top students things. But well, for a 70 member what major or department, that exists, and that's kind of unexpected for me.
Okay, thank you, Rama. I mean MAGNA. Yeah. Uh, um, I want to highlight some point that you guys have already mentioned. It is interesting that Zidane have said about maybe some of people in the English department group in line in UNER specifically. Maybe some people don't need to create and socialize in a creator society, and they um, they have their own concern on our business. That's why they tend to not um, involve in the conversation in the group, and the responsivity of the group is kind of decreased. Okay. um, and Magna as well say that it also happened in UKM, but in a different case, and that is also interesting. Okay, maybe we can continue after we are discussing this about the function of the group and then what happened in the group into the micro level, or the what we found regarding the code mixing and the code switching inside the chat room of our group. One of you guys maybe want to share something.
uh,
Okay, maybe I'll start first.
Yeah.
So
okay.
the microacoustic analysis that I found from the group, you know that UKM has three major ethnicity in the group. So I expect them to have this English environment inside them, but what I found in field it's quite different. They start to use they well they code switch and code mix a lot, and it doesn't stop or it doesn't even Malay or English, but there's also Mandarin, Mandarin and Arabic. And Santo, asam pedas power in your area. From this, actually, I noticed that they want to promote the local food, but also they make a slogan out of Blackpink's slogan. So yeah, well, it's kind of marketing things happening there. And then there is Betul Gang, and I don't know, but it feels like is it an Indonesian term to call friends gang
Yeah,
or guys?
Indonesian. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why I mean maybe it's some kind of localization from Malaysian, or maybe they want to adapt or adopt Indonesian term to it, so be friendly and stuff. But uh, from our interviewee response, actually they wish that the group itself at they wish that the group when they first join uh, use English more rather than mixing it together with Malay. Even though Malay UKM said one of the interviewee has a foundation policy where they rely on national language sovereignty, if I recall correctly. So even though they have that, they just wish that the group itself, because they're English student, the group has to at least use English more rather than Malay. But in the field, there's not really apparent of that, and more code switching and code mixings. But we know that code switching, like Rama said, maybe a language incompetence thing, but I think it's glued to our minds because as a bilingual language repertoire, we cannot construct the language easily or quickly. So we kind of mixing them up all together, and they have a fair acceptance to it. Like they have a fair acceptance to code switching and code mixing, but they wish if the students have a better qualifications on one language, then they have to use it rather than mixing them up all together, and ended up with the derogatory term from them. Yeah, because if which is surprising for me when I interviewed them. Uh, Two of the interviewees explained that there are derogatory terms for this code mixing phenomenon, and that's quite surprising because zip around amongst friends, and that's kind of surprising event for me.
Uh, is that all,
I would
Magna?
like to add.
Yeah,
I would like to add.
yeah, Magna, please.
Yeah. Moreover, from where I gathered from the interviews from the UKM students, it seems that their attitude towards the usage of English in within code mixing and code switching context relies heavily on their upbringing, on their usage in social settings. So one of the interviews that we interviewed uh, mainly uses bahasa as their main language in their family. However, she has a sister that can speak English, so she speaks English with her. In this case, where she really has the setting or the chance to actually speak English interchangeably, she believes that the usage of English or the usage of code mixing, basically, or code switching, is not necessary, because if you can convey your message well in just one language, then why would you need to convey it in a way using other languages? Although she added that code mixing can actually work if someone's just trying to be serious. So she elaborated it by saying that in the group setting, one of the members apparently have touted something important, have expressed something important using two languages. So she got this got this idea that using two languages means that uh, that the speaker is trying to be serious to the listeners. So it's kind of uncommon to think of it that way. But it's interesting to know just how uh, the social setting, the how various aspects in the environment or the social setting that we are in can affect our understanding towards code mixing, code switching. I think that's all.
Thank you, Magna. Maybe
I would like to add. It's
yeah,
funny you
Yeah.
said like social. One of the okay, sorry. I just want to add a little. So one of the interview actually had an experience about language shaming, and I don't know if that happens in Indonesia, but yeah, one of the interview had language shaming where whenever like he used to express two languages at the same time, people would call him like maybe obnoxious or those kind of things. So it's
Uh,
kind of, yeah, social environment really does affect um, code switching and code mixing, in my opinion.
yeah.
yeah, I agree with Magna because one of the interviewee for our the English department of UNER, Airlangga students, uh, one of the interviewees said that it depends on the person she talks to. She also added that she doesn't want to be asserted to be superior or bumptious if she use code mixing or code switching, because she is aware that not all the member of the group have the same and equal understanding of English, even though it is a group English department student. And but the one that is interesting is she aware that she is doing code mixing and code switching, and she also sometimes feel comfort with English within her circle, but sometimes she doesn't also feel comfort to use English because she tried to be more using proper bahasa Indonesia to the person that she doesn't know well. Yeah, I think that's all. And maybe one of the reason also she said that um, the reason why she choose code switching because um, she say that it is more fast to type, or and it is not boring. I don't know, because maybe she added that I prefer to use oh my god rather than ya Allah, or maybe ya Tuhan, or maybe ya ampun, and then by the way PTW, or um, for more information, atau mungkin kayak misalnya informasi lebih lanjut and prefer atau lebih lebih cocok itu, she rather to choose prefer rather than to say lebih cocok. And I think that's the interesting one. And yeah, maybe one of you want to say something.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like a knack for us, bilingual thingy students, where we have a hard time to substitute the words that it's in our locus, in our mind, in our brain, but we don't really have the necessity or capability to change the words. So we kind of like jumbled everything in. Maybe
Yes.
Zidan have an example of that.
Okay. You know, having two languages, knowing two languages is because how language works is exactly like knowing two methods of thinking, right? So it is said that your first language is is your heart thinking, and if your second language is your brain thinking. You are more likely to experience greater emotion or express greater emotion if you are speaking in your first language, right? And you're likely to be more objective if you're speaking in your second language. I like speaking in English because it's my second language. I don't really deal with emotions. I need therapy, but that's irrelevant. Uh, in some cases, when you're talking, uh, one language has the exact word you're trying to say, but you're speaking in another language, right? For example, I don't know how to translate, I don't know, gabah, right? Gabah means unprocessed rice,
Yes.
right? But on the other hand, I don't know how to translate, say, I don't know, some English word into Indonesian, right? Because my knowledge of Indonesian versus my knowledge of English is two circles of a Venn diagram, right? That barely intersects. So I know very little about uh, interchangeable words between the two languages, right? I know there are words that kind of match up, but for the most part, they don't really are interchangeable in both languages. Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you, Zidan. It's quite interesting and unique about your story. The diagram friend that related your English and then your Indonesia. I think it also happens to our six interviewee, because we asked them that how about their exposure about English. They say that I already exposure with English since I was child, and then that's why they mostly feel comfortable to use English rather than the bahasa Indonesia. And um, there is also one quite interesting result, not result finding that we discover, because one of the interviewees say that 70% until 80% she thinks or thought with English, but she preferred to use bahasa Indonesia in group because it feels more simple, and then she doesn't need to think twice to translate it what she wants to share in the group. So I think it's quite interesting. And she said that when I was asking her why it is contradictive, you have said that you are not comfort, but you still but your habit is like this. She said that I think that is the problem of being bilingual people, right? Yeah. Um, maybe guys, you if you want to add something, or before we going to conclude what we have discussed today. Aya, Magna, please. Yes.
It's just that one of the other findings that I that we found when we interviewed three of the UKM students. It's actually because they have three ethnicities, right? Um, we noticed that they use Chinese, Mandarin, CACA, just that one word in all of the transcript that we have gathered, but they only have those one word CACA, and the reason why the speaker actually use that, maybe they want to learn the language. So it's not about, maybe it's about, yeah, incompetence and stuff, but they also want to learn about the language. So it's not about, um, it's deliberate, but it's not wrong. It's like, can you, can one of you add, it's learning other languages is not wrong, but it seems like JS and CM is actually degrading all of those proficiency into one. Oh, your incompetence in terms of language.
Yeah, thank you, Magna. Rama, maybe you want to add something.
I don't know. Maybe the first thing that came up to my mind is that code mixing, code switching is just not only limited to, let's say, Bahasa and just English. There are other languages that we can also use that would classify as code mixing and code switching, as Magna has said before. The incident of just one incident of someone saying "sia-sia," and then probably other examples such as and they would congratulate or celebrate the holiday by saying messages in Arabic. So maybe it's also code mixing, because the realities of which we use more than just one language in one conversation, one setting, one saying, basically. Yeah, that's all.
Thank you, Rama. Okay, before we close, because I think that we already discussed the whole that we want to share. The first one, the function of the group, and then the code switching and the code mixing, and the language attitude within the people, the member of within those two groups. Maybe one of you want to share your conclusion, what we have shared today. Zidan, or yeah, Zidan, Magna, Rama, everyone. Yeah, Zidan. Okay, no.
I guess safe to say, code switching and code mixing is like interlatched or interconnected to our culture, because we
Yeah.
are a part of global citizens, so we kind of need to learn these languages and engraved it in our minds. And
Yeah.
just it's very it's very interesting phenomenon, because even though we can see those phenomenon, the attitudes towards code switching and code mixing is not, what do you say? Can someone fill in?
Yeah, I mean, our attitudes towards code mixing, code switching, and how we use it, how we perform that kind of thing, represents a bigger picture. It's like a piece of puzzle in a really big set of puzzles that can ultimately reflect a bigger problem or a bigger phenomenon that happens in our lives.
Cannot
And
say it
it's
profound.
yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Rama and Magna. Maybe if I want to pinpoint about what we have discussed, it seems that two environments that have a different linguistic background, which in this case, Malaysian people and the Indonesian one, can affect to the linguistic attitudes to something, and yeah, and even in the different situations, we found that there are some similar still happen in the different area. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, nice. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Because I think this today's discussion is kind of okay. It's kind of tight, and we talk everything. We talk about everything, and but it's really fun because we
Yeah.
gain a lot of new knowledge and new things, especially from the different perspective, because we not only discuss about the Indonesian one but also the Malaysian one, and we know that the Malaysian has a lot of backgrounds, and some of the informations that Magna's Magna already gained, it also gives us a news insights. I think this discussion was really much yeah, beneficial, and I think
Really.
for those who watch this video, they can gain or maybe take some takeaway from this discussion. They can gain some new insights, or maybe if you guys want to add or maybe comment or asking about what we have discussed in comment sections, that's okay. That's probably okay. Yeah.
Okay, so I would like to add also that another difference between Indonesia and Malaysia is that they're both post-colonial countries, but Malaysia has relations with the British, right? They are in the Commonwealth. They have the colonial incentive to learn English, whereas we as Indonesians don't. We're not taught Dutch in our schools. The old people spoke it because they had Dutch uh, education, whereas the Malaysians had English education, right? So they had the advantage of learning English. We did not have such advantage. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Zidan. You already correlated the history as well, why the language attitude of these two different countries have a different result as well. So I think that's all what we have discussed today, and thank you very much for all of you who have spared your time to spend, to discuss, to talk, to share what we have observed within this, I don't know, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Yeah, that's a hard work, guys, because I think um, this podcast is really much beneficial, not only for us,
Uh,
for the the viewers as well. Thank you, guys. So for the viewers, thank you for staying with us until from the start until the last one. Thank you very much, and see you soon with AZMR podcast. Bye. Bye. I will end the meeting.